Let's be honest, the phrase a jealous God is uncomfortable. It just lands wrong. When we hear the word jealous, we think of something toxic. We picture a possessive partner checking phone messages. We see a bitter friend resentful of someone else's success. We imagine insecurity, suspicion, and control. Human jealousy is a green-eyed monster. It's a weakness. It eats away at relationships and poisons the soul. So, when the Bible comes along, in one of its most famous passages, the Ten Commandments, and God himself says, "I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God," it feels like a record scratch. How can God, who is supposed to be perfect, have a flaw? How can the source of all love and goodness possess an emotion we consider so ugly and destructive? It seems like a massive contradiction. Is this just an ancient, primitive view of God that we're supposed to grow out of? Oh, is it a bad thing? The short answer is no, it's not a bad thing in the way we think it is. But to understand why, we have to do something difficult. We have to take our modern human definition of jealousy, with all its baggage, and set it aside for a moment. The Bible was written in a different time, in different languages, with a different understanding of how words work. The jealousy of God is not the same as the jealousy of a scorned lover in a soap opera. They share a word, but they don't share a meaning. God's jealousy isn't about what he lacks. It's about protecting what is rightfully his. It's a completely different kind of thing. To really get it, we need to look at two big ideas, covenant and context. First, let's talk about human jealousy. Our jealousy usually comes from a place of insecurity and desire. I see you have a promotion, and I want it. I'm jealous. I see my partner talking to someone attractive, and I feel threatened. I'm jealous. This kind of jealousy is about me. It's rooted in my fear of losing something, my insecurity that I'm not good enough, or my covetousness of what someone else has. It says, I want what you have, or I'm afraid I'm going to lose you to someone better. It's fundamentally selfish. God's jealousy isn't like that at all. He's God. He lacks nothing. He isn't insecure. There are no other gods who are actual threats to him, who might be more powerful or more attractive. The Bible is very clear that idols are just wood and stone, creations of human hands. They are nothing. So God isn't looking over at another god named Baal and thinking, wow, he's getting all the good worshippers. I'm so jealous. That would be absurd. God's jealousy is not possessive in a selfish way, it's protective in a righteous way. Think of it like this. Imagine a brilliant surgeon who is deeply passionate about health and healing. She performs a life-saving operation on a patient. She gives them detailed instructions for recovery: take this medicine, do these exercises, avoid these foods. This is the only way to get well. But the patient goes home and starts following the advice of a quack on the internet who tells them to drink bleach and stand on their head. The surgeon would be furious. She would be passionate. You could even say she would be jealous for that patient's well-being. Her anger isn't born from insecurity. It's not because she thinks the quack is a better doctor. It's born from love and truth. She is angry because the patient is entrusting their life, which she saved, to a lie that will destroy them. She is zealous for their health. She is jealous for the truth of her life-saving work to be honored. Her jealousy is a direct expression of her love and her expertise. This is a much closer picture of God's jealousy. It is a fierce, protective, and exclusive love. It's a love that says, I am the only one who can give you life and freedom. All these other things you are chasing will only lead you to slavery and death. I am jealous for you. It's not God saying, I want what they have. It's God saying, I want you because you belong with me and I am your only source of true life. This brings us to the idea of covenant. This is a huge theme in the Bible, and we often miss its importance. A covenant is not just a contract or a deal. It's a deeply personal, binding relationship. The most powerful human example we have of a covenant is marriage. And the Bible uses the metaphor of marriage for God's relationship with his people over and over again. God is the husband, and his people, first Israel, later the church, are his bride. Now, think about jealousy in the context of a marriage. If a husband sees another man trying to seduce his wife, is his jealousy a bad thing? Is it a sign of weakness or insecurity? Not at all. It's a sign that he loves his wife and values their marriage covenant. His jealousy is a righteous anger. It's a defense of the relationship. He is jealous for his wife's honor and for the exclusivity of their bond. A husband who wasn't jealous in that situation, who just said, oh, whatever, do what you want, wouldn't be seen as enlightened. He'd be seen as a man who doesn't care. His indifference would be the real betrayal. This is exactly how the Bible frames God's jealousy. When God brought the people of Israel out of slavery in Egypt, he made a covenant with them at Mount Sinai. It was like a wedding ceremony. He promised to be their God, to protect them, to provide for them, to love them. He asked for one thing in return: their exclusive loyalty. You shall have no other gods before me. It was a vow of faithfulness. So when the Israelites turned around and started worshiping the golden calf or the gods of the Canaanites like Baal and Molech, they were committing spiritual adultery. They were breaking the marriage covenant. God's response was not the petty jealousy of an insecure deity. It was the deep, painful, and righteous anger of a betrayed husband. His jealousy was proof of his love. It was proof that the covenant mattered. The book of Hosea in the Old Testament is an entire story built around this metaphor. God commands the prophet Hosea to marry a prostitute named Gomer. He does, and they have children. But Gomer is unfaithful. She keeps leaving Hosea to go back to her other lovers. It's a heartbreaking story of betrayal, but God uses this real-life drama to show Israel what they are doing to him. He says through Hosea, she has played the whore, she who conceived them has acted shamefully. For she said, I will go after my lovers who give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, my oil and my drink. The people were looking to idols for their security and provision, forgetting that it was God who gave them everything. God's response is pain, but also a fierce desire to win his bride back. He doesn't just discard her. His jealousy drives him to pursue her, to strip away the false promises of her lovers, and to bring her back to a place where she can love him again. He says he will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. This is the goal of God's jealousy, not destruction, but restoration. It's the jealousy of a love that refuses to let go. So when God says, I am a jealous God, he is saying, I am a God who is completely committed to our covenant relationship. I will not tolerate rivals. I will not stand by indifferently while you destroy yourselves by running after things that cannot save you. My love for you is too strong to be casual about your unfaithfulness. This also helps us understand the context of the Ten Commandments. The command against idolatry is not some arbitrary rule from a needy God who wants all the attention. It's a profound statement about reality and our own well-being. God is jealous for our devotion because he is the only one worthy of it. He is the source of life, truth, goodness, and beauty. Everything else is a cheap imitation. When people in the ancient world worshipped idols, it wasn't just a harmless spiritual preference. Idol worship often involved deeply destructive practices. The worship of Molech, for instance, involved child sacrifice. The worship of Baal and Asherah often involved ritual prostitution and sexual degradation. These gods demanded things that warped and destroyed human dignity. They were reflections of humanity's own worst impulses: greed, power, lust, violence. God's jealousy was a firewall against this dehumanization. He was saying, do not give yourselves to these empty, destructive forces. Give yourselves to me, the God who rescued you from slavery, the God who values justice and mercy, the God who created you in my own image. His jealousy was a jealousy for their freedom, for their humanity, for their lives. Worshipping an idol is like a human being bowing down to a rock. It's a reversal of the created order. It demeans the worshiper. God is jealous for our dignity, which is found only in worshiping the one true source of that dignity. Let's also look at the original Hebrew word. The word translated as jealous is kana. Like many ancient words, it has a broader range of meaning than our English equivalent. It can mean jealousy, but it can also mean zeal or passion. In fact, some translations will render certain verses as God having zeal for his people. This gives us another layer of understanding. Zeal is a powerful driving energy directed toward a specific goal. An artist has zeal for her craft, a patriot has zeal for his country, a parent has zeal for their child's future. God's jealousy is a divine zeal. He is zealous for his own name and his own honor because his name represents truth and reality. He is zealous for justice to be done in the world. He is zealous for his people, wanting them to flourish and live in the way they were designed to live. This zeal is not a quiet, passive thing. It's an active, fiery passion. The Bible describes God's zeal as a fire. It consumes what is false and purifies what is true. So when God sees his people running after lies, his zeal is ignited. When he sees the poor and the vulnerable being oppressed, his zeal is ignited. This isn't the petty jealousy of a high school drama. This is the holy fire of a God who is passionately committed to truth, goodness, and the well-being of his creation. So, to recap, God's jealousy is not like ours. It isn't rooted in insecurity. It's rooted in his unique and absolute position as the one true God. It isn't selfishly possessive. It's a fiercely protective love. It isn't a desire for something he doesn't have. It's a righteous defense of a covenant relationship. It's a zeal for our ultimate good, protecting us from the self-destructive nature of idolatry. This concept isn't just confined to the Old Testament either. We might think the jealous God is the angry God of the Old Testament, and that Jesus brings a different, gentler picture. But the theme continues, just in a new context. In the New Testament, the Apostle Paul writes to the church in Corinth, a group of believers who were being led astray by false teachers. He says to them, I am jealous for you with a godly jealousy. I promised you to one husband, to Christ, so that I might present you as a pure virgin to him. Notice what he says. A godly jealousy. Paul is making a clear distinction. He's not talking about his own insecure human jealousy. He is feeling a reflection of God's own heart for his people. He sees the Corinthians who are married to Christ in a new covenant flirting with false gospels, and it ignites in him a passionate, protective zeal. He is jealous for them. He wants to protect their relationship with Christ from being corrupted by lies. The marriage metaphor is still right there. The covenant is still central. The jealousy is still about protecting the beloved from harm and falsehood. Jesus himself showed this kind of divine zeal. Think of the story where he cleanses the temple. He walks into the holy place and sees it has been turned into a marketplace, a den of robbers. He doesn't just sigh and walk away. He is filled with a holy anger. He flips tables. He drives out the money changers with a whip. The disciples, seeing this, remembered a line from the Old Testament, zeal for your house will consume me. This was not a petty temper tantrum. It was a fiery passion, a jealousy for the honor of his Father's house. It was a righteous anger against the corruption of true worship. So, is God's jealousy a bad thing? Absolutely not. In fact, it's one of the most reassuring things about him. It tells us that God is not a distant cosmic force. He is not a detached philosophical principle. He is a person who loves with a passion that is terrifyingly beautiful. He is personally invested in us. He cares enough to be angry when we betray him. He cares enough to fight for us when we run away. The opposite of God's jealousy is not peace. And the opposite of God's jealousy is indifference. And an indifferent God would be the most terrifying thing of all. A God who didn't care who or what we worship. A God who just shrugged as we destroyed ourselves with idols of money, power, fame, or ideology. A God who saw us in a covenant relationship with him and didn't care if we were unfaithful. That would be a God who doesn't love. The jealousy of God is a declaration of value. It declares his own supreme value as the only one worthy of worship, and it declares our immense value to him. He values us enough to enter into a marriage covenant with us. He values us enough to be hurt by our betrayal. He values us enough to pursue us relentlessly, to fight for our hearts, and to be zealous for our ultimate good. It's still an uncomfortable word. We may never be fully at ease with it, because our own experience with jealousy is so tainted. But when we look at it through the lens of the Bible, through the metaphors of a loving surgeon or a faithful husband, we see it in a different light. We see that it's not a flaw in God's character, it is the very fire of his love. It's the passion that holds the universe together. It's the righteous anger that defends the beloved. It's the zeal that will not rest until all things are made new. It's the proof that his love is not a mild, sentimental preference. It is a consuming fire, and for us who so often wander and get lost, that is very good news.